Hello there, lovely. Good afternoon. From allegations of chanting, booing, to issues that have to do with a UPND member, Bene Hachomba, calling for lifestyle audits from members of parliament and all public officers to be audited, to issues that have to do with the misuse of the Constituency Development Fund, which has been enhanced to 30.6 million. Also, issues that have to do with matters that are relating to the power utility company ZESCO. Now, information emerging is that the managing director has actually gone on annual leave. The question that we ask is, why go on annual leave at this critical time when the country is experiencing unprecedented load shedding across the country? Also, matters that have to do with God in Kasensedi. What is happening? The Jarabos are waiting, the Zambian people are waiting. This is the Lunchtime Cafe, and my name is Joe Smarter. Today, after so many accusations that the opposition is not effective in Zambia, we have gone far and wide to bring a man that leads the leadership movement, and I'm talking about Dr. Richard Slumbe, who is our guest this afternoon. Good to see you, Doc, and welcome.
Well, thank you very much once again for giving me this opportunity to be on Camnet TV.
Okay, good to have you, Doc. Now, let's get into it. First of all, let me start with the by-elections. Leadership movement has been known to be consistent when it comes to participating in by-elections, and you did participate in these by-elections. However, my producers tell me that you do have some concerns regarding how these by-elections were conducted. Doc.
Well, definitely we have seen the UPND that promised the Zambian people to provide a good atmosphere for campaigns. It is slowly turning into the PF violent political party. We have been filing in these nominations, and in the previous by-elections we only managed to file in 6 out of the 9, because many of our candidates were hounded out by the UPND cadres, and where we had managed to file in, we found that some of our members and our candidates could not even enter a ward, like in the case of Kabompo. So these are the concerns that the leadership movement is having on the direction of the UPND. We want the UPND to live up to their promises that we need to create a very fair democratic environment where every political party can campaign freely and not using underhand methods, especially when it comes to by-elections.
Okay. Now, Mr. President, let me find out from you. You have talked about the UPND living up to expectations of the Zambian people. Now, prior to 2021, and this is post-2021, are you seeing a point where the UPND is meeting the expectations of the Zambian people, coupled with what happened on Sunday? We can't run away from it. You are an opposition political party leader. You are a government in waiting. We saw members of the public booing outside and also inside the stadium. My question to you, if you were in the position of running the affairs of this country and such happened to you, what would it signify to you as a head of state?
Well, first of all, let's get back to the analysis of where the UPND government has taken us to. Remember, when they were doing rallies, when they were campaigning, they were telling the Zambian people that when they come into power, they are going to lower the fuel price from 17 to about 10 kwacha. The UPND government promised the Zambian people on rallies that they are going to reduce the cost of meal from around 90 kwacha, where it was, to 50 kwacha. And they promised lower electricity tariffs. They promised a very strong kwacha, that is a weakened dollar. They wanted the dollar to reduce in terms of exchange. What have we gotten 3 years down the line? We have gotten prices of milimi which have doubled, then tripled, then quadrupled. We have seen prices of fuel, prices of electricity tariffs going up. Everything is going up. So that is the insult that the UPND government has given to the Zambian people. The Zambian people feel insulted by the UPND. No wonder you are seeing that booing. That booing is a thermometer that is showing its readings of what is happening on the ground.
Okay.
And the sooner the UPND government reads those readings, the better, because they have let the Zambian people down. Because we as leadership movement have been there through the campaigns of 2021, and we were saying to the Zambian people, don't listen to liars, politicians who come on the podium and say, we are going to reduce the cost of milimi. How are they going to reduce the cost of milimi without involving the Zambian people? We have been clear. We said we want ZNS state farms in every district. We want Zambians to participate in the development of this country. Whether you are educated or not educated, you have something to contribute to the development of this country. Now, we have been told by these colonial political parties that only people with grade 12 results, 12 points at most, are the people to join ZNS or the Zambia Army. Now we wonder as leadership movement, because when you research in all these countries that are succeeding, be it in China, when someone wants to join the military, they're not going to ask for a grade 12 certificate. In Russia, they will not ask for papers if you want to join the army. In America too, people join the army even when they are not citizens. What type of, we must be jokers as Zambians to have a government that asks for papers for you to join any form of labor that doesn't even concern the mind or the knowledge or skill, but it concerns the ability for the person, the physique and all that. We want ZNS state farms in every district. That has been our creed as leadership movement. We want ZNS mines. We cannot stand idly by and see our minerals being auctioned by foreigners. And we are seeing how the UPND has failed the Zambian people by auctioning literally all the mines. The Zambian people are getting this message and they are feeling insulted as the UPND government, after getting sponsored by these foreigners, then they hand over the mines in the name of investment, whilst Zambian people are suffering. The Zambians are suffering. So this insult is now that which is reverberating in the Zambian community, and the feedback is what we saw on Sunday.
Okay. Now, but my other question is, in different WhatsApp blogs, and obviously on social media, we have seen you, the opposition, being blamed that that booing was sponsored by the opposition, both outside and inside. But before you even answer that question, let me follow up with this question. Is the current administration inspiring to the Zambian people, and also tackle the issue, Mr. President, of you, the opposition, sponsoring the booing that took place at Hero Stadium on Sunday?
That is very simple. Any person would just walk along the streets of Kawata, for instance. You can walk in the streets of Ngombe, all these combos, you hear the same statement that this government has failed us. You can go to the Copper Belt anywhere. So you don't need an expert to tell the UPND that they have failed the Zambian people. But it just needs basic understanding. Any Zambian knows that they have failed the Zambian people. The UPND government has been a letdown, and most importantly, it has insulted the Zambian people, because what they said is not what they are doing. You are far much better as a leader not to promise heaven on earth and fail than to promise heaven on earth and then not even do anything about it and fail lamentably as they are today. When it comes to the opposition sponsoring the booing, well, if they want to take it that the opposition sponsored the booing, but For how long are you going to say, oh, it's the opposition to blame, oh, it's the opposition to blame? It doesn't even carry any water, and it will not help the UPND to think of the opposition. Actually, imagine if the UPND government delivered to the Zambian people. Which opposition can sponsor bullying? Which opposition can entice Zambians to rise against the government? No one. No opposition. If just by the fact that any opposition, for instance, can sponsor people to boo the president, then that alone is a red line. It's a very big indication to the UPND government. The sooner they put up their socks, the better. We need production in this country. They have not done anything to allow this country to be productive. We want Zambians to participate in production, educated or not educated. Everybody has got something to contribute to the development of this country. But we have a UPND government that thinks that only the elites will be able to transform this country. And because of their understanding, their belief, and being puppets, waiting for foreigners to give them the direction, the way they have done to the economy, waiting on IMF to give them the steps on how to run this government, implementing of austerity measures, instead of they themselves focusing on production, putting this country to work, they are waiting on IMF to tell them even the loans they are getting, look at where they are spending the IMF loan. They've categorically said that that money should go into social cash transfer. How are you going to pay back the money that you just splash around to people, poor people? And if a poor person gets 500 kwacha as social cash transfer and is buying a bag of mini meal at 350 or 400 kwacha, how are you helping them? This is ridiculous. We need a government that thinks for the Zambian people, that loves the Zambian people and puts the interests of the Zambian people first. When we do that, we are going to see a government that is thriving, that is productive, where we can own our mines, ZNS mines, contrary to what we are seeing. We cannot live in a country where we are auctioning all our natural resources.
Before you exhaust all my discussion points, Mr. President, because there's a whole lot that you've said there, and I want us to go step by step. Now, there has been a concern from a UPND member. We're not discussing individuals, but we're using this as a reference point, saying that the abuse of Constituency Development Fund that is currently taking place, and the Minister of Finance, Dr. Honorable Stumbeko Musokotwani, has acknowledged and is saying, can spot audits be undertaken? Now, this particular member, Vene Hachombwa, says they should also, apart from audits in these constituencies, also lifestyle audits for public workers, including councillors, members of parliament, ministers themselves. Do you subscribe to this particular notion that borders on audits, Mr. President?
Definitely. We need a government that is responsible. The UPND government came on the precepts that they are going to fight corruption, but we have seen how they have actually embraced corruption with both hands, and we are seeing them wavered in corruption. We need a government that is responsible, that stays away from abusing government resources. This is why, as leadership movement, we always say that we want corruption to be non-bearable, 37 years imprisonment, because we want any officer in government to be scared of government resources. They should only take government resources where it is prescribed to be spent. Other than what we are seeing with the CDF, this so-called CDF, which is fake, is not helping the Zambian people. What they are doing is they are doing programs that do not benefit the Zambian people, but benefit a few officers, and then put it on media. Everyone is seeing that, oh, there's a CDF, and there's nothing on the ground.
Let me throw in this question. Is it Tantamen Part 2 or Uwamba Mwibara Adia Mwibara Season 2 when we talk about the Constituency Development Fund? Is it being actualized on the ground? You have traveled, you together and your Secretary General, you have traveled extensively, participating in by-elections. What's the reality on the ground? Is CDF really doing its intended purpose, or it is a campaign tool for the UPND for them to seek another re-election into office come 2026?
CDF has got no trace record on the ground. People don't even feel the CDF except for using it as a conduit for abuse and corruption. Imagine you spend millions of kwachas on a 1x3 block of a classroom block. You wonder even the material when you calculate can't even come anywhere near 500,000 kwacha. But you see the cost, 10 million. This is mocking the Zambian people. We would rather have that money spent where it really matters, in production, ensuring that boreholes are dug, people engage in irrigation. We start winter maize, helping farmers. That's what we want to see. But you are not going to see that on the ground. What you are seeing are 1x3 blocks and so on and so forth. Toilets being built, very cheap toilets, but spending millions of kwacha on them. And yet, that money needs to focus on production. So, as long as there is no production involved in CDF, this is what makes CDF a very fake campaign, a campaign tool for the UPN, which is only appearing on the media. On the ground, there's nothing. Only a clique of UPND officials who are using that image to amass wealth. This is why this concerned UPND member is seeking audits, because abuse has skyrocketed. We need a responsible government that puts Zambian interests first. We needed investing all that money in production. We want farmers to be relieved of the poverty that we are seeing today. But we are not seeing anything near to that by this government. Remember, this is the government that promised that they are run by a farmer, but they have left farmers on their own. Millions of young people languishing in the streets. All these are indicators that this government has failed lamentably, and it's time we started thinking of a government that will put Zambians' interests first, that will know that we need to invest in so many things that are productive. This is why when you see a government neglecting power, they were busy screaming on load shedding. Today we have load shedding of more than 8 hours.
That's what I was coming to, Mr. President. Please hold your thought. ZESCO managing director right now, information has emerged that he has actually gone on annual leave. Other reports suggest that he has been put on forced leave because of the electricity tariff hikes that took place, together with his counterpart at the Energy Regulation Board, who has been sent on forced leave, and the board chairman for ERB, who has since been fired. Mr. President, on the issues that have to do with load shedding, first of all, I would like you to address the issue of the board chairperson for ZESCO saying that his director general has been sent on forced leave. As we begin to look at the load shedding schedule that is not being followed by the utility company itself.
When the UPND opposition political party was making noise that, oh, when we come into power, we are going to switch to stop load shedding, they thought that load shedding is just a matter of switching on and off, and when we come into power, we will not be switching off, we will just be letting power to be continuous. Little did they know that actually this problem is far much bigger than they thought.
Okay.
It's a problem of loss of water because of climate change. We need fundamentally different solution to this, and leadership movement has been clear. We need to go nuclear. We have uranium in Solwezi. We need to enrich uranium and come up with nuclear power plants. We can partner with experts in these things. We have even one small nuclear power plant would produce 15,000 megawatts. That is far much more than all these Kafue Gorge, Kariba Dam combined. Just last week in Georgia, in America, they were opening a nuclear power plant. More than 15,000 megawatts production output. We have uranium in this country. We can build this. And we need, these are the fundamental solution to our problems. But you never hear that in the UPND government. They are talking about solar. Just to power this building, you are going to require more than 400,000 kwacha of solar investment. But how many houses are you going to power with that money? But you can do it alternatively by way of uranium, enriched uranium, used as fuel. We have a nuclear power plant that will cater for the whole country. And we have uranium in this country. These are our assets. I mean, our resources. This is how we want a government to be thinking, and not chipante-pante type of government in the UPND. They are very confused. They are stuck. They are blaming one another. They don't even know how to even tackle the problem, because they came in power by just complaining. Complain and complain until Zambians say, oh, these are the people we are going to give power. And they are stuck. The same thing happened to reducing the cost of milling. When they were there, the president was promising the Zambian people that my responsibility is to lower the cost of milling. And the Zambians were there, and the media was there. Instead of asking the president, how are you going to reduce the cost of milling? He never involved the Zambian people. He never talked about ZNS. He never talked about production. He thought that foreigners who are supporting UPND are going to come in Zambia, bring a lot of dollars and start giving this government and people, and everything will be okay. That was fundamentally wrong. We need governments and politicians, leaders who tell the Zambian people, engage them to say, for me to reduce the cost of milling, this government must participate in production. We need state farms in every district. We need production. We need Zambians, young people, educated or not educated, with the energy to participate in ZNS. We don't need Margaret 12 certificates. We need ZNS to double, then triple, quadruple, pentacuple, production everywhere. We need ZNS run mines. We need ZNS gold mine in Kasenseri district. We need ZNS copper mine in Lumwana. Lumwana, when they came in this country, they found copper belt on the surface. And the copper belt has not been depleted. Much of Solwezi is on the copper belt. We can start a ZNS mine. And this idea, the colonial idea, where Zambians have been told to believe that actually a Zambian cannot mine.
But we have been told that we do not have the capacity, Dr. Silumbi. You know that for a fact, that we have been told that we don't have the capacity as Zambians. Worse off, if it's the young people, they were told stop mining gold at Kasenseri. We are going to bring you investors. These investors will partner with you. However, when one goes there today, it's illegal to go there. You'll be shot. And these licenses haven't come forth to the young people. The Jarabos are complaining on the copper belt.
And yet foreigners are mining. Exactly. Gold is coming out.
Exactly.
Now let me take you back to this, where this fundamental belief that we don't have capacity comes from. Remember, before colonialism, before 1890, Zambians used to engage in mining. Actually, when they tell you that, oh, you need machinery to mine, the answer is just clear. Mining started way before any machinery. People could mine, produce metals, then they make machines, fashion machinery. Before 1890, Zambians in the northern province, they could pick stones that are rich in iron, they smelt them. Out of that, they make axes, bapanga, inkasu, shakulimina, utusembe, nemifui, ishakulimina. Fyonse fivale panga bena Zambia. Paka fulafutano pa bwana mkubwa, bantu wale senda fye, amabwe ya rich in copper, iron green, basha smelt, bapanga mama copper bangles, nembale sha copper. Ofya fyonse. Until 1890, when the BSA company under the British came in Zambia to colonize Zambia and banned all blacksmiths. And from that, then, no Zambian was allowed to use metals made in Zambia unless something made in Britain. And we have lived up to that. And these governments have fallen prey to this colonialism. This is why a colonized leadership of UPND today can tell you that no, it's not you to mine. We cannot mine. We do not have capacity. But we used to do that. under leadership movement, we are getting back to the roads. We want ZNS to become productive, to own mines. We are going to start mining. And you know, when we talk about mining, Zambians have been removed from the truth to believe that mining is only in KCM and Mopani, where you have to go 5,000 meters down, and yet forgetting that those are colonial mines. They started in the 1800s. Those mines were the mines that started by foreigners, by the colonizers. They have gone so deep, and they point to that to tell you that you don't have capacity, you can't run them. We don't need those mines. We want that 4,000 manpower of miners in the copper belt under KCM to go to Solwezi, and we create a new mine on the surface. We want those people, those miners under Mopani, to go to Mpika. We create a gold mine there. We go to Mkoshi, we get manganese from there. We go to Mansa, we get manganese, we get cobalt, and so on and so forth. That's the kind of Zambia we want to see as leadership movement.
Just on the mining sector, because according to reports that are being published are indicating that the mining sector is a major contributor to the gross domestic product of this particular country, the GDP. Now, a stone throw away from Lusaka to Rufunsa, who review that there is copper on the surface. Villagers can, or the local people, let me not say villagers, but the local people can be able to mine using their picks and shovels. However, reports do emerge that individuals that walk in the corridors of power are now repossessing these mines or minerals from these local people and giving exploration licenses to their partners that are coming from outside the country in form of investors, and the local people are disadvantaged. Wouldn't you, when given the mantles of power as leadership movement, as a party and you as president, change, do a 360 on the Zambian people and begin to give us excuses, Dr. Silumbi?
All these excuses we are seeing from the UPND government are arising from the fact that this is a political party that doesn't have an ideology. We need to put leadership that has got an ideology. The last time we had an ideological leadership was in the Kenneth Kaunda. This is why this is the only leadership that gave us a gift of independence. What great gifts are we going to deliver to future generations today? Nothing, because we have now governments after governments that are self-centered. They don't think about the Zambian people. We as leadership movement, we have been clear. When we come into power, we want every Zambian who owns a piece of land, we give them title deeds. And we want these title deeds to be given free of charge. When we say this, many people argue, no, title deeds are expensive, you need a lot of money. We ask Zambians, how do you get your voter's card? Free of charge. How much money does the government spend? Now, what more a piece of paper called a title deed? You vote only 3 papers or 4 papers printed in Dubai. And you don't ask yourself, how come it is not expensive? We want every Zambian, those villagers who are being evicted in Rufunsa, under the leadership movement, they will reclaim their land, because we are going to give them title deeds. And they will be the owners of that land. And if they want, they can partner with a foreign investor. They are the landlords.
That's what the UPND said. That's what the UPND said, Dr. Silumbi.
Have you ever heard the UPND giving title deeds to Zambians? They don't even mention that. When we come, this is a national program as leadership movement. Before we can do anything, in the first week, we need every Zambian who has a piece of land. We give them title deeds. That is their birthright. Once we do that, we have protected the whole Zambia from foreigners. And when no foreigner will own a piece of land, will own title deeds to any land, they'll be renting from Zambians. You know, these are the things that we see. UNZA does. The whole East Pakmo sits on UNZA land, and after 50 years, it will return back to UNZA, because that is UNZA land. They are just renting. The whole this Lewanikamo sits on the council land, and they are renting for 25 years. But why have we neglected the Zambian people? Why don't we know that these owners of land, they need to be protected? We see people who have their father's graves, their mother's graves there on their land. Someone goes there and they say they are illegal squatters. How can a squatter, a Zambian, be a squatter in his own land? That's number one thing. We want to give Zambians their birthright. Once they have title deeds, everything is done. If you have minerals there, you have the right to dig those minerals and sell to mineral reserve agents, because we are going to have the mineral reserve agents. We want Jerabos. Once they are given title deeds, they can go and mine, produce minerals, and bring to mineral reserve agency, sell there, and make profit. Right now they sell to the Chinese because the government doesn't even buy minerals, and there is nowhere to turn to.
So it's the same
and they are abused.
FRA that you're going to come up with.
Definitely.
So it can also be applied to minerals.
To minerals. The way people take their maize when they grow maize to FRA, that's how we are going to have the mineral reserve agency, so that you can get your minerals to mineral reserve agents, your gold, your manganese, your copper, your cobalt, and get a living from that. And this government now is going to be selling those minerals and gain forex and create industries to process those minerals. Today we have given up all the minerals, all the mining sector to foreigners, and those foreigners, when they produce copper, it passes our borders, goes under London Metal Exchange, they sell those minerals, money doesn't come to Zambia, it goes to their offshore accounts. What comes here is just petty cash, a few $1,000s to just pay those laborers in Zambia. And that is the money we say, oh, they have brought money, dollars in this country. Meanwhile, huge profits are being siphoned out of this country, and we don't even benefit anything from that. We are going to change that as leadership movement. We need to own our land. We need to own our natural resources. We need to take control of our production. Without production, the country is as defunct, as poverty-stricken, as dilapidated as the UPND government, as we see it today.
Okay. Now, you, Doc, are an intellectual. Let me begin to find out from you. The IMF says that growth projection for Zambia in the year 2024 has now been reduced to 2.3% against the 5% projection that was done last year. Now, how does that sit with you, knowing at the back of your mind, Doc, that we have a date that the country is structured, and obviously future generations will need to foot that particular date, coupled with the money that the UPND is currently borrowing, so meaning that the future generations are going to pay 2 dates technically. So let me find out from you, 2.3% growth for this particular year, how does that sit with you?
When you look at that GDP, much of it has to do with foreigners. Zambia's millions of young people are just languishing in the streets. There is poverty everywhere. To a Zambian, there is no growth. Actually, we are in negatives. The 2.3 is the reviewed growth in terms of the foreigners' activities in this country. As for the Zambians, we have nothing to offer to our own country. And worse enough, we have a government that continues to rip this country, rampagize it, give it up to foreigners. And we are not benefiting anything. As an intellectual, I know that we have a puppet government whose interest is to provide for the foreigners, for the masters, the puppet masters. This is very detrimental to the Zambian people, and we need to wake up. We need to start thinking of owning our production, owning our products, and selling our products. We need production at all levels. So that GDP by IMF, we know that all this debt we are talking about is not even a priority. Remember, we are hearing the UPND telling us that they've spent the whole 3 years restructuring the debt. For what? For shoveling the debt. The simple term in restructuring is actually getting away from responsibility of that debt, saying it's not me, it's future generations. Meanwhile, the same government that is restructuring the debt, refusing to pay it until other people pay it, then it is borrowing more money, and it is selling mines, all sorts of revenue. The nerve center of growth of the economy is being given up to foreigners. This is how dangerous the UPND government has become. This is how irresponsible the UPND leadership is having to this country. We need responsible leaders. Leaders who say, we are not going to talk about debt, but we want production.
How do we identify those leaders? Because you as politicians, the way you are speaking, Dr. Sulumbeyi, as an intellectual, citizens are watching out there and they are thinking, should we give this man a mandate? Should we give the doc a mandate to lead the Zambian people in 2026? Or is this a case where players are going to the dressing room to change a jersey? They come, we maintain the same players, but we just switch their jerseys. Is this the way politics is played? Switch talk? After elections, it's embrace whatever comes. Whether it's fuel pump prices that are high, embrace them. Whether it's electricity tariff hikes, embrace them. Whether it's the cost of living or the unstable kwacha, embrace it. Are these the excuses that you'll be giving us, Doc, come post-2026?
It's very simple how we identify leaders. For instance, we had leaders before. In the times of independence, we never saw masses of people lining up for t-shirts, Chitenge materials, 50 quats. We never saw that from Kenneth Kaunda's government. Okay. I mean, from the fight for independence, what happened there? The Zambian people themselves took it upon themselves. They were responding to the message. When you talk today, the masses are giving excuses that politicians are just liars, they are all the same. But you go on the ground, they'll tell you, it's not even about the message. They don't care about what we say. What we are saying here is nothing to them. What they are interested in is to see a politician who comes there with a lot of money, lot of Chitenge material and t-shirts, without knowing where that money is coming from. So these crooked politicians have taken advantage of the Zambian people because of this kind of nature, where we respond to money and t-shirts and the big picture, and we get in now criminals into power. Then when they fail, we say, oh, how come things are bad? Who is responsible for this mess? It's the Zambian people out there. You, the Zambian people, you are responsible for this mess. When you are getting the Chitenge materials, when you are dancing, when you are getting the t-shirts and 50 kwachas and voting, you don't even ask yourselves, how much money do you spend to dress the whole Zambia with red t-shirts, to dress the whole Zambia with red Chitenge materials, to give 50 kwacha the whole Zambia? Where was that money coming from? From the same people who are now telling you that don't put brakes on the fuel, let it be growing because we want to make profit out there. Hey, sell out the mines. We are seeing Vedanta come back. We are seeing some people from United Arab Emirates coming to take over our mines. Do you know how much they've invested in the UPND? Do you know how much they spend their money in that t-shirt you are wearing and that dance you are making on those rallies? We need to start paying attention to the message. When a president,
so the sponsors are here to get their dividends.
Definitely. And we have to pay the price. That's what is happening. So now, when a politician stands before you and he tells you, and you are all dressed in red, and he says, when I come in power, I have Americans, they are coming here, money is coming, lot of investors. When you vote for me, I'll bring investment. A normal Zambian who loves his country so much and has a Zambian ideology, like the leadership movement, will simply say, this is not good. And they will never vote for that politician because they know that that politician is in the direction of selling this country, selling our children's birthright and the future of our children and children's children. So when we don't do this, and you are saying, all politicians are the same. Meanwhile, when we go to campaigns, fish mwala tupera. You are selling your country and don't complain. Start feeding on the poverty that you have voted for until your children come up with a new way of looking at things and say, we want leaders who speak the message, who tell us that we are supposed to be part of this. When we say ZNS, we want Zambians, educated or not educated, you need to participate in building this country because you have something to contribute to the development of this country.
But that was the exact message, Dr. Silumbe, that was spoken at Community House during the ascent speech of the president. Those exact words were echoed. Fast forward, it's something else that is happening.
You were the media that time. Why didn't you ask the UPND government? When he said, when I come into power, at 10 hours I'm zoning, 14 hours the dollar will come tumbling down. What does that mean? A normal person, normal media would have asked, how is that possible without production? We know that currency is backed up by what you produce. You can't go on the market and say you are selling, you have no products. A seller, a marketeer knows that you need to go on a fin to, if you are kushtisha. Now you are told, oh, he's the chief marketer, nothing to sell. We don't produce anything. And they are telling us that, oh, the dollar will come down. The kwacha is backed up by what we produce. We need to produce. How do you produce as government? You need a wing of production. What is that? ZNS. Remember when we talked about ZNS in the 2021 campaigns then, people dismissed us as outdated. How can you talk about ZNS today? You are outdated. Those are backward ideas. Today the UPND, because they are now stuck, they have nothing to do, they now come to Leadership Movement Manifesto and start painting an image that, oh, they have ZNS. Now ZNS is growing maize. Where are they growing maize?
So that was
ZNS. Yes, that's our ideology.
Okay.
Now ZNS is selling maize. How can ZNS sell maize when we audit ZNS? It has only 3 center pivot. There is no production. ZNS has got no manpower. Only grade 12s with my 5 points, my 6 points in ZNS. And they lie to the Zambian people that they have maize. That's a GMO ZNS meeting where they import maize from South Africa, GMO, they repackage it and they start selling to the Zambian people. And when you go on the ground, because of the massive propaganda by the UPND, many people will tell you, oh, now ZNS is working. Oh, they are going to make things better. Without you, millions of people are suffering. No jobs. And you think ZNS can deliver? How can ZNS feed the whole country? We want those millions to participate in ZNS. In all the districts, every district there should be a state farm. It's only the works of our hands that can feed us, that can emancipate this country. Not these lies we are seeing. And it's an insult to ZNS today. When I look on the media, people saying, oh, ZNS is now selling maize to Congo. Importing maize, repackaging it, GMO, and selling to Congo and to some few Zambians, and they are lining up. Oh, ZNS. I laughed and I said, Zambians can really be misled. True ZNS requires you and me to participate there and produce, not few politicians lying to ZNS that is just a skeleton, long dead ZNS. It is just a skeleton. And there is nothing they can produce until we come in power and get all the millions of young people into ZNS. We become productive, where our energy is invested there. That's number one, capital. And we cultivate, we interact with our natural resources, which is land, and produce products. Then we can say, we have a chief marketer in State House. You cannot be a marketer without any product. What are you marketing? What are you selling? You need tangible products. That is what is lacking in politicians. Sooner or later, we are going to have another politician who will lie to the Zambian people because they don't want to be told the truth. That you and me, on a rally, when you come to the leadership movement line, you are going to see lines of Zambians volunteering, lining up, being recruited to ZNS. So that when we come in power, we hit the ground running with members already who have given themselves to work in the ZNS. We are not going to see a leadership movement president telling the Zambian people, when I come to power, I'm going to reduce the cost of minimum. We are going to say, you and us, we have a responsibility. You have something to contribute. Let's work together as Zambians. We want millions of young people. You can line up there if you want ZNS. Zambia Army, here is your line. ZNS, Zambia, if we talk, Zambia Air Force, the police, we want, or anybody. You can ask yourself, Mr. Tapero, in America, you go there. Have you ever heard a person wanting to become a soldier being told that we need a grade 12 certificate? In fact, even if you are not an American citizen, you can become a soldier there. In Russia today, they are recruiting. They don't ask you, do you have a grade 12 certificate? As long as you have energy. In Ukraine, in China, China is where it is because they don't look at papers. This is why they bring prisoners to build your buildings here. Do everything, but you are here with your government. Oh, we need only grade 12 certificates. You can never develop like that. This is the colonial mindset that the leadership movement is in fight against. We want to remove this notion, this colonial mindset that believes that anything foreign is better, and the rules that have been given to us through the colonial education to belittle ourselves, to think that civil servants, even a sweeper who is just cleaning the toilet, should have a grade 12 certificate. Now, imagine in countries that are developed, that have 99% educated people, why don't they get only PhDs in Zambia army, in their army, or in their national service, in the corps, American corps, for instance? They would rather get only my PhDs, but they don't do that. Anybody can join there because they know that it's what a person can contribute. Everybody has got something to contribute, educated or not educated. These are the things that are lacking in our leadership. We are so colonized. We don't care about our children and our children's children. This is why we now run towards politicians who have nothing to offer. We don't even want to be told the truth. This is why you justify to say, no, the president said the same thing. But you and I, we were watching him. We heard him scream when the PF, the previous PF, got the mines. He said, no, don't touch the mines. We do not have the capacity. Only foreigners should run the mines. We saw the president talk about investors, how much connections, how much money will come in this country. He talked about how much is going to reduce the cost of minimum without touching the subject of production, without mentioning ZNS. And when we mentioned ZNS, we were the laughing stock of this country. And I'm happy that now every Zambian can embrace ZNS. The ZNS they called us idiots for. Now they can say, oh, the ZNS, we need to go the ZNS way. That is what leadership movement can do to change the mindset. We are already changing even before getting into power, because our message is the future of this country, regardless of who the politician the Zambian people want to put in.
Okay. Now, as we begin to wind up, President Dr. Silumbe, let me draw your attention to the issues that have to do with free education. You are talking about a society where only competence matters, if I'm getting you clearly. Let's talk about the issues that have to do with free education. Illiteracy levels, even with the introduction of free education by the current administration, still stand. I stand to be corrected. But from my research and my with my producers, they are still standing at 53.3% illiteracy levels. Those are the people that can't read and write in this particular country, 60 years after independence. How are you going to reverse this, sir?
First of all, let me put my point clear that there is no way a government can prioritize free education where a hungry child, there is poverty everywhere, can go and sit in class and start attending free of charge education. In fact, there is no free education. This government can never even talk about free education. We know free education, how it looks like. There was free education in Kenneth Kaunda's time, where you go to school and you are given shoes free of charge, you are given a uniform free of charge. And yes, of course, I am the beneficiary of the Kaunda government free education. You are given pencils, pens, and books. That is free education.
You don't pay examination
You
fees.
don't pay examination fees,
Okay.
you don't pay anything. This education they're talking about free, it's not even free education. Imagine, how can a parent send a child to school when you have to pay through the roof, shoes for the child, uniform, books and everything, and then that child is told to come with a bag of cement. That is unacceptable. That is not free education, and it is just a propaganda by the UPND to doing Zambians to think that there is a free education. But we lived long enough to know what free education is.
Okay.
That is not helping us. The priority should be production. Even when you talk about the hierarchy of needs, you find that what lies at the base is food. You need to handle the food issue. Free education and everything lies way up in the hierarchy of needs. So we need to table what matters first is food. Zambians should be able to feed 3 times a day. We need to invest in production, state farms, so that we can have enough food, so that those farmers can view farming as a business. You should not see farmers being stopped from selling their meals, their maize to Congo or Angola. They should be able to do that and earn more money because they are doing business. Whilst the government, their responsibility is to keep the food basket, and production therefore comes in. You need a ZNS that is productive. So in the case of the UPND now, when you look at them, they are so confused, so stuck, that they do not even know how to deal with these issues they have found themselves
Are these
in.
economic challenges overwhelming to the UPND administration, Doc?
Definitely, because they didn't plan for them. They did not have the 5 beta kappa key to deal with the challenges that they are facing today. They spent 20 years complaining, throwing mud on the ruling party without having their own research. It's not good to be just coming on the media. I complain about UPND. You people should be asking me, what are you going to do? And that is the real way to offer checks and balances. The UPND government didn't have that. They had a free lane from the media, and the media covered up their iniquities when they were just complaining, oh, we have no democracy, oh, we want change, and they are now in power. They have no solution to offer to the Zambian people. They can't even have where to start in terms of production. This is why I want Zambians now to look at a mindset of an engineer. We heard a lot of talk about, oh, we need an economist. An economist will only work when there is money. If there is no money, he doesn't know how to produce. He will be looking for money elsewhere. This is why you are seeing the UPND government. They're looking for aid. They're looking for loans. They will keep on borrowing because their duty is to just count money. We need a mindset of an engineer. As engineers, we produce, we make things that can sell out there and bring money. We should be thinking of what are we going to produce? What is our capital? Our capital is human resource. Massive young people languishing in the streets, invested in ZNS mines, invested in ZNS state farms. We start producing products. Those products, we sell them. Believe me, this economy turns around and we have enough money. Then you can talk about economists and accountants to count the money. In our situation, these people are stuck. They are standing on quicksand. They are just sinking. There is no base. And they will never fix this economy until Zambians one day, they fall of mercy and they are given true leadership that will turn things around.
Okay. 3 minutes to go. Dr. Silumbe, in these 3 minutes, let me give you to speak to the Zambian people out there. According to the election calendar, we now have 1 year, 5 months, and we are strict on that one. We are counting, and we keep on reminding you that are seeking office that time in government is limited. The Zambian people are watching right now. What would be your message to them as they are going through unprecedented load shedding, high cost of living, high fuel pump prices? What is your message to them?
My message to the Zambian people is very simple. We should start, these problems should make us start reflecting now back into understanding, looking at ourselves. What do we want to see? Do we love ourselves? Do we love this country? Do we love our children and children's children? What type of a Zambia would we want to leave our children with? What are we going to leave behind when we are long gone? Those questions, when they start lingering in our minds, then we'll be making serious decisions. We are not going to fall prey to a politician who gives us tenge material and t-shirt and a 50 kwacha. We will be paying attention to understand what their ideology is. Do they put Zambians first, or do they put foreigners first? Where are they getting the money? All those t-shirts they are giving us, is this helping this country? Are they not building a serious loan for themselves that they are going to reinvest when they are in power and sell the whole country's resources? So this is what is happening. The moment we Zambians start thinking in that way, the sooner we are going to realize that we have the responsibility as Zambians to make sure that we safeguard this country. We love this country so much that we don't leave this country so dilapidated to leave it to future generations. But these are the things that we should be paying attention. I'm not asking for the Zambian people to pay attention to me, but they should pay attention to themselves and their children. When you look at your child, you ask yourself, what type of a country am I going to leave this child in? Is this the country we are going to live in them for them? Imagine a country where all the land has been sold to foreigners. Now what will remain is just these combos, Mrs. Zingalume, Chivolia, and the biggest combon in Kabwe, Makurulu, and all that. All this land would have been sold to foreigners. All the mines, all the companies. And you'll be there with your politicians justifying, no, we didn't have money, we needed foreigners to run this country. Are you sick in your mind? Are you going to be happy to see your children live in that environment where they will look back and say, there lived very bad human beings which were just as good as those slaves which were being taken there, where 70 Masikura people have succumbed to one small white man, putting them in chains, beating them around, and taking them to America to work for their life in sweat. We want the future generations to come and look at us and say, there lived true leaders who safeguarded their economy. They grew their economy and safeguarded the country, safeguarded the industry and our natural resources that God has given us, so that they can come and inherit those assets. Not what we are seeing under the UPND. Everything is gone. Copper is gone. All the companies are gone. And we are even justifying that, oh, we don't have capacity. Who said that? Where did your great-great-great-grandfathers get their hoes and their spears and their axes? Where did they get those copper plates? They create a kind of mindset we should have in this time to get back to the roots and start recreating a country that will be proud of, that our children and children's children will look back and they'll be proud of us. They'll say, here lived a great people that gave us a great gift, and that gift will be a great Zambia for them, the way our founding fathers gave us a great gift of independence. That is the rallying cry that the leadership movement is having. This is why we are talking about these things. We want Zambians to awaken. That's why we are saying, ifo bakabusha, bakafundisha bachalo, bakabusha in the sense that turela that galamukani, turefu abena Zambia, to rise up so that they can start looking in the mirror and see a true Zambian in the mirror. Not some chicken who should be fed with chicken mash. We should look into the mirror and say, I am a person. There is something I can contribute to this country. I can work in ZNS. I can till the land. I can use picks and shovel. I can get that manganese. And you have a government that says, anybody, whether educated or not educated, you have something to contribute. Let's work together and let's build this country. Not these leaders who tell you that unless you have a grade 12 certificate, there's nothing you can do. Until you die. we are not going to allow such a country to continue until we leave our breath. We want to continue in this direction, and we want those Zambians who have the passion to join the movement so that we can together deliver the great gifts to future generations, the great Zambia.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Richard Slumbe, for coming through and obviously for discussing matters of national importance. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so there you have it, viewers. Thank you, the major stakeholders, the viewers. Thank you so much for your company, and thank you to my director, Mr. Isaac Chifita, and the entire production team. I have been your host, Joe Smarter is my name. We'll see you next time, same place. Good afternoon.